We're back at week 4, and if you haven't already had any baby chicks hatch, you're probably going to have some hatch really soon. So this is the most exciting week of our project. This is the last week where we'll have videos for you, but we hope that you've really enjoyed this and that you're really excited to see your baby chicks soon.
Yes. So our last week, we are going to kind of go back to our week 1 lesson. Now that we are having chicks hatch, we're going to kind of need to know how to take care of them, right? So let's go back and review what our needs of our baby chicks were. So we talked about needs and wants, but let's go over our needs. So in order for our chicks to survive, they're going to need what? Anybody have any guesses? Our chicks are going to need food, right? They're going to need water. They're going to need shelter. They're going to need heat, right? Because we don't have the hens to lay on the eggs to keep them warm. And they're also going to need food and bedding, right?
So now that we've identified everything chicks are going to need in order to survive, we're going to show you how to set up the home for your chicks inside of your classroom. So first, let's show you the cage that they're going to be in. So this is a cage. It's similar to one maybe you could use for a rabbit or another small animal. It's all folded up. You're simply going to unfold it. And so it folds up kind of like this, and it has 2 sides that come up as well. And this will be used to keep the chicks safe because we don't want them running all over your classroom, right? We don't want them running out down the hall. They need to be kept somewhere where they're safe and somewhere where they're warm. When we have these cages, they open up several different directions, which makes it easy for you to be able to look at them in your classroom. So we can open them up at the top and reach in, which you maybe can't see the best in this video, but we can also open them up from the side as well. So be careful, your teacher will instruct you when to open them, or probably your teacher will open them for you when you need to. Also, you're going to have a piece of fabric that you're going to be lining the inside of your cage with. That way it helps to keep the mess inside of the cage, but also that way it keeps the chicks, they're kind of small when they hatch, and we don't need them climbing out the corner or the side. So this will help to keep them safe that way. And then McKenna's going to talk to you about some more things that we're going to add to our cage.
So next, our chicks are going to need heat, right? So what we have here is, we're going to call it our heating pad. So what it does is it will fit inside your cage, and your teacher will probably put this together, but it has 4 legs on it, so you can adjust the height of how tall or low it can go. Now we want it fairly close to the chicks because they're going to be kind of small, right? So in order for them to get the best heat, we're going to do probably about a hand's width from the ground, so it just sits right on top of our chicks when they're in the cage. So I'll go ahead and show you how it'll kind of sit in our cage for our chicks. So you're going to want to place it about in the corner of the pen maybe. And our chicks will be able to get underneath it and kind of huddle up together and stay nice and warm. Now our chicks, they can kind of talk to us. So if they're kind of chirping away, or kind of sounds like if a baby's crying, right? They need something. They're either hungry, they're uncomfortable, they could be cold, right? So if our chicks are chirping at us or talking to us, they're gonna want something. So it could either be that it's not close enough to the ground so they're cold, or they're out of feed, right? So with our bedding that we're gonna add to our pen and this heater, it should do a great job at keeping them warm.
And then we're also going to add a water and a feeder to the pen. We probably don't want to add the water and feeder too close to this heating pad, right? So we're going to move them off in the other corners. So when the chicks are eating and drinking, they will come out from underneath this little heater, and they can eat and they can drink, and then they can go back under here to keep warm. But it's good to have them kind of out and moving around the pen, around the cage as well. And you'll need to keep a good eye on the feeder and a good eye on the water. We want to make sure that our animals have fresh water to drink. So sometimes they might kick some bedding in there, or maybe they just drank a lot and it's fairly empty. We want to make sure they have clean water and that it's full all the time for them to drink. And then we want to make sure they have plenty of food so that they can eat when they're hungry too. Just quickly review. So McKenna's going to talk about what it would be like. So what might my chick be doing if it's sitting here?
So if it's sitting next to the water, it's getting a drink, right? If it's underneath our heater, it's getting nice and warm and toasty with the other ones.
What if it's sitting here crying?
Anybody got any guesses? If it's out in the middle and it's chirping at us and talking to us, what does that mean?
Maybe we want to check to make sure that the heater is still plugged in so that it's warm, because if they get cold, they'll just cry and cry and cry. Maybe it means it's out of food or out of water, so we want to check that as well, right? Most of the time, though, our chicks are going to be cuddled together because that's what keeps them warm, to spend their time together. So our chicks will tell us what their needs and wants are, probably by crying. So listening to our chicks, if they're pretty quiet and they're sleeping, that's a good thing, because they need to spend a lot of time sleeping so that they can grow really quickly. As we talked about, they grow in about 6 months' time. So make sure that you check on them. If they don't eat at all, or they're laying around more than usual, maybe something isn't normal. And so we want to think about, like, if you're sick, you're just laying around, you're not eating, not drinking, maybe you don't feel well. So in that case, if there's a problem, your teachers can give us a call, but they'll probably be okay. Just make sure they have food, water, and that they're keeping warm.
All right, now we just spent our last and final week with you guys, and hopefully you have some happy and healthy chicks in your classroom and you get to enjoy them for a little while before we come and collect them. Thank you for letting us do this again this year with you guys, and we hope you had a great time.
And now you might be asking, what's going to happen to your baby chicks? So they're only going to stay in your classroom for a few days because they're going to start growing a lot. They might need some more space besides what's in this cage. Maybe they're chirping too much and interrupting you while you're doing your classroom work. So we're going to come collect the chicks soon, and we're going to give them to some of our Clover Kids members. So Clover Kids is a group you can join before you're old enough to be in 4-H. And our Clover Kids members are going to take these home, and they're going to raise these at home, and then they're going to bring them back to the county fair. So we hope you can make it to our county fair this summer, and you can stop by and you can see these chickens and see how much they've grown. See if you recognize the ones from your classrooms. We'll get information to your teachers before the school year is over, so you know when the fair is and when to come find it. But just know that somebody's going to be taking really good care of these chicks, and you should get to see them again this summer at the county fair. So thank you for joining us. We hope you had a great time. We hope that you had lots of your baby chicks hatch from your eggs, and we hope that you've learned something about the process of raising chickens.